You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Kennon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right, welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, every Monday night right here on 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial, The Answer. And then we shoot it on over to a podcast later on, and so you'll be able to hear us on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you like to stream. And, of course, we're on, I was almost said live, but we're live here. But we used to be live on all these podcasts and in our other area, in our room, where we would go straight out to the public in the internet world, where we can drop all kinds of F-bombs and anything that we'd like to totally say. This is a different market for us, Hans. I'm telling you, and I'm getting used to it. So, but many ways to watch us, even on YouTube. Like us, subscribe us there. Like us and subscribe us, so that way you can not miss any episode that we have coming at you. So today, like every show is a great show, as we have different guests that bring different enlightenment, we'll call it, to the listeners here locally in the Central Florida area, and then over to you anywhere you like to stream, and where you like to consume your streaming. And so,
is the Dalai Lama here today?
No, it's not.
Enlightenment.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to get
you do like that. I am one. I am now one with, and like I was saying before, when we just right before we just started, it's No Storm Monday, so we will report to you today that we at one point we even had a watch or an advisory here on the East Coast, and then I think it was a Milda was creeping up the coast of Florida, as it was, I think, in the Bahamas, taking a quick vacation, and then it got what it needed and shot off over into the Atlantic straight east. So
unbelievable. We had well, not Geraldo, but with the G. Then we have Umberto with an H, and now Imelda. Just amazingly, I mean, from my perspective on the storm, honestly, I would like to have a little storm activity just so the insurers will screw more people, which will make their conduct more prevalent in January when the legislature kicks in. If we have no storms, and people are going to be like, yeah, I think they were bad to me. I don't remember. People have short memories. So if we got a storm, these people go, oh, that's why I forgot. Last year they did this to me too.
Right.
So I'm hoping for a little something.
Right. And I'll keep bringing it up. I mean, we saw 1 year after the storms hit, well, now is about 1 year after, I think it was October 9th last year was Milton. But we saw about 8 months after the storm, we started seeing both of those storms. We started seeing articles out in the paper showing that 15 insurance companies have declined more than or paid under deductible more than 50% of all the claims filed to all those insurance companies. And Citizens being the number one at 77%. People's distrust there right at 76%, all the way down to Snake Farm and All Snake. So all of those guys and in between, then with that held majority of them, and like we've talked about, Citizens held more than about 1/6 of all the policies here in the state of Florida. But roughly 6.5 million HO3 policies exist here, which are single family residents, and they are required by law. I think it was 1970s that the Florida legislature then bound to anyone that has a mortgage has to have this property insurance. And here we are, we're getting strong-armed to make sure that we have this insurance, to then find out later on that we really don't have the coverage, and that they can just slow walk us, no pay us, and deny us, and we can't do anything about it. Especially since the law change of 2022 into 2023, which did many things, which took away the consumer's right to assign their policy or assign part of their claim to a third party that would assist them in putting their home back together before they got paid by the insurance company.
You mean like a professional who knows what they're doing instead of a homeowner who doesn't?
That's right.
Oh, they shouldn't allow that.
Right. And now they've made it to where, right? I mean, and that's exactly what they did. To the fact that we're like, where are the mortgage companies here? Now the mortgage companies are getting the money. They don't know how to, especially from afar, how to dictate what needs to be done and at what time it needs to be done to release the funds. That's becoming more and more of a thing where the mortgage company is getting involved and say, okay, we'll release the funds once you show us this, once you show us this type of progress. And so it just makes it more of a pain in the butt for a consumer, especially somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, to be able to navigate all that. And most insurance companies are saying, get 3 estimates for every type of trade, making you go to work for them.
Which is outrageous. I mean, the policies never require the insured to submit multiple estimates. Honestly, it doesn't suggest they have to submit any estimates under any of the obligations, the obligation to assist, but they're not under obligation to adjust their own claim.
Right. And at this point, especially when they're not knowing what to do, and after a storm, to try to get so many different contractor estimates are just, it's just overburdensome.
You can't get them. I mean, the reality is right after a storm, the last you're going to get is 3 free estimates from any one trade, much less multiple trades, because people immediately have work.
Right.
It's something to do. And you're like, well, do I want to work or go write an estimate for some lady who thinks she needs 3 to submit to an insurance company? So maybe I won't get that job. So I'll lose the job I have for a job I'm not going to get anyway.
Right. And that was a sad day for us all. I mean, it was common law for any of us in the state of Florida pre-2019 that would allow anybody to freely assign their right. I think it was the late 1800s or early 1900s. I think maybe I saw something since early 1900s that allow, maybe 1917, that early on, that they allowed these types of assignments to exist in common law. And at one point, you can jump in and help somebody within the claim within 5 years. And that's how long the statute used to allow for. And they really scrutinized it to the point that where I was going up to the legislature, so were you. And many of us going up there saying, well, what are we doing? There's nothing wrong with it. I even made fun of it and said, who's the boogeyman this year? Because every year it was somebody different. It was the restoration folks for a while that were strong-arming homeowners into signing this assignment of benefit contract, allow them to dry out their home, and in many cases put them homes back together. And then they started pointing the finger at the roofers and the attorneys, making all this BS of numbers up and suggesting that you as an attorney would get this crazy amount overpaid to the tune. I couldn't remember their crazy percentages that they said you would get on average.
Look, if I was making that kind of money, I wouldn't be sitting here today. Right. You want to drive by my house? I won't be there if I was doing that. I mean, our rates are typically 20% pre-suit, 30% in litigation. Again, and don't keep in mind, for the last 100+ years, the insurance company would used to pay my time and my costs. That only changed in December of 2022. In December of 2022. I mean, so it's hard for me to be the bad guy when again we talked about common law. Whenever we talk about common law comes from merry old England, which means it existed in the law before everyone came to America. So the concept of assignment goes back to literally the 1600s, because it made sense that if I had a right, why was I not allowed to give, sell, assign that right to someone else if they wanted it, if it was good for me, if each party had a benefit and a burden resulting from the assignment?
Right.
And that's what that was all about and was allowed to do for all those years.
Right. And then we're obviously in a position to where this fake crisis came about to set up this chain of reaction. And it really goes back to really what I was going to say to DeSantis' childhood, right? It really goes back that far.
Well, it might actually. Who knows? I'm not sure.
But going back to his election here in the state of Florida, and to where the trial bar was raising money for Mayor Gillum, who was the mayor of Tallahassee at that time, and they felt like, okay, we can work with this guy. This guy is going to help us push our agenda, so let's all get behind him. And unfortunately, he lost. Well, fortunately for us, because of all the weird photos later on. But who knows? Whatever you do behind closed doors.
Maybe it wouldn't have gone that way.
Right? Maybe not. Maybe that was a depression from losing. Who knows?
Exactly.
Anyways,
and only by a small amount.
Right. Large amount of drugs, small amount of numbers. But
votes,
anyways, we won't. Anyways,
what are you gonna do?
But yeah, I mean, we're talking about 200 or 300 votes that Governor DeSantis won by initially, and he's he's had it out for the trial bar since then. And he's been on record saying that I'll get my pound of flesh and this kind of stuff, and that how he's never trusted the trial bar in the state of Florida, this kind of thing. And this is where it came from, and so they've been at odds since then. And this is his first opportunity to get back at him, really, once he started to run for president. And the insurance lobby, who was supposed to be in this fake crisis, like, oh, we're out of money, and then they were able to give DeSantis $100 million to run for president and say, well, in exchange to do my bidding, who became a very, very powerful governor to the point to where everybody was doing his bidding on all sides of it just because of how powerful he was. And so then it was a bad makeup for us. And now the pendulum swung so far that the insurance company has so much control that these articles came out and nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, we have proof that the fraud exists on their side. Independent adjusters were coming to the Senate and the House committees and saying, I have all this proof. They changed my estimate. They're frauding the public. I wrote for a full roof replacement, and they came out with a payment under deductible for a repair. And so what they didn't do anything about it, and they still continued to turn their blind eye on this. And it's still beyond me why we're not seeing any type of meaningful legislative changes, and we won't until DeSantis leaves. And it's unfortunate because, when we're talking about attorney's fees here, a homeowner or somebody outside the industry might think of, well, I mean, I guess it's fair, but whoa. Well, think about it this way. Let's think of you being in a dispute against your insurance company, and they drag it out for 2, maybe 3 years. And let's say it's over $20,000. And at the end of it, you finally get your money. Well, you know what you're actually going to get? Or what the burden of that insurance company is at the end of that 2 years of fighting and all this other stuff. Their worst day is what they should have paid in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And that's not right. I mean, looking at that perspective, they're going to give you $20,000, but after you fight with them and you're spending your money. So by the time you get to the end of that, you're going to have to spend your money on the experts, the attorney. The juice isn't going to be worth the squeeze. Maybe if you brought in a public adjuster initially, all of this stuff is then going to erode what you're going to get at the end of it. Whereas before, you then sue for your $20,000. You are found to be right in this dispute. You then get your full $20,000, and then the attorney's fees and costs, experts, all those costs to fight the claim is then paid by the insurance company, by the losing party. Yeah, as it should be.
Yeah, I mean that certainly is fair. I mean, when we look, keep in mind when people talk about trial bar, they talk about it in a excuse me, in like a negative fashion, like it's somehow a bad thing. Trial bar equals consumer advocate, right? Keep in mind, right. Consumer advocates, consumers are people who should be voting. Right, I mean, that's how it goes. Trial bar represents consumers. We're an advocate for consumers. Consumers are the ones who decide who sits in all those chairs. Consumers should realize that something that goes against the trial bar goes against them. And I think there's sometimes a disconnect because of some of the noise in the media that trial bar is bad because they're making everything cost more. Well, what we're doing is we're making people actually accountable to the insurer for what the insurer was supposed to do. Now, if the insurer has to spend more money because they're to do the right thing because we're forcing them to do it, that's not unfair. That's not a burden that shouldn't be placed there. And what we saw through all the studies and everything else is that the insurers had plenty of money, just were funneling off, we talked about, into the subsidiaries who took all the money, and then the insurers would say, hey, we're broke again, go back and keep getting really just an ongoing premium raise, claiming that the money was going to people like trial lawyers, when in fact the money is going to the insurance company's subsidiaries.
Right. And all of us were saying that and saying, show us your books, open up your books, right? And to the point of where to the fact that where legislative change was actually made to say, you know what, you must disclose, since all this noise is going on and saying that you're paying all these crazy fees and we're contesting it on our side, right? And finally, within Senate Bill 76, was that I think it was 2021 that said by next January, we have to have a full breakdown of all the expenses of all these insurance companies to include how much they paid to prevailing party attorneys' fees, how much they paid their own attorneys' fees, how much they ended up paying out of the claim altogether, but a full breakdown of all those expenses. So all of us are biting our fingernails waiting for that next year to come out. I was like, I can't wait to see all these numbers. We're going to finally show it. They can't run from numbers. And the OIR director, who is that? I can't say anything anything fast enough there. So, anyways, the guy that left out of there, he torched it on fire, then leaves, right? And but before he does that, he extends it for another year and says, you know what, guys, I'm the Office of Insurance Regulation head. I say you don't have to turn it in for another year, even though the law says this. OIR was allowed to say, you know what, I'll go ahead and give you an extension, no problem. And everybody's like, all right, cool, no problem.
And And sitting here now in 2025, I don't recall ever seeing it as of today.
No, still not. And so we're supposed to come out 2022, and then they gave it a year extension, and we're like, okay. And then, of course, then all these sweeping law changes happen. We're like, all right, this is going to be good. All the numbers are going to come out.
Right.
You're right.
I mean, to me, that would be something that would not be private. That would be something that would have to be disclosed. So we sit here again 4 years later. Essentially, you and I have talked about this for years, that the money's not going. The money's all. I mean, I got to make a living. Everyone has to make a living, but all the money not going to us. All the money's going to the insurance company again, or their subsidiaries. We said that for years. Finally, this report comes out and vindicates us, and the statute changes and says, show them where the money is, and just as a Jerry Maguire film, show me the money, because they would always tell you. And again, here today, I still have yet to see anything, because you know what I mean. I always show up with paper. I'm always here with highlighters and paper figuring stuff out. I have nothing today, which means the reports, whenever they were supposed to be disclosed, have yet to be disclosed.
Well, that's crazy, because when they put a statute in the contractor section, they make sure they have penalties and they have ways for them to be either lose their license or be heavily fined, third-degree felony, all these other things. But when they post a law
for using your First Amendment right.
Sure, exactly. For just like maybe knocking on a door or informing somebody or just saying, hey, you know what? Thank you for, signing this up. I'm going to send you a gift card, for a dinner somewhere, which is like, every model of like, look at this Omaha steak place or whatever like that. I mean, they would drive that thing to your door, but I just don't get it how they would then allowed to overstep their bounds here. And then, but when they put this legislation on what they have to do, there's no, well, if you miss your deadline, a fine or penalty, or those guys will lose their license to do business in the state of Florida. Nothing like that exists.
Now, here's what's funny. Last week, I brought in an article that said there was about a dozen insurers through Hurricane Ian did not comply with replying within 90 days. We read that.
Right.
Atlantic Coastal, Monarch, a handful of those. Well, and I read it and I said to myself, where's this list for people who didn't disclose, who didn't provide their financial disclosures? Why aren't they getting fined for not providing financial disclosures that the statute requires them to do? OIR goes out and fines people, fines, F-I-N-D-S, and then F-I-N-E-S, people for being late in responding to an insured, yet statutorily their obligation to provide where all the money is goes unquestioned.
Right. And so many questions that we continue to ask ourselves. And of course, we're watching things not happen, things that we would love to see. And, to your point, is like if a storm came this year and just devastated the state of Florida, we would have an uprising. There would be so many people going up to Tallahassee, pinging the governor, everybody in power, and saying, these insurance companies are screwing us, and we need meaningful legislative changes. Yeah. And that's the only thing that's going to tip this and allow for DeSantis now to say, okay, I'll sign a bill. That's what we saw last year. Is that holdup was ex-Senate President Pasadomo, who just does the whatever bidding for Governor DeSantis, and she was the head of the Rules Committee, yeah. And she just put a big X over it and says there is no how they say attorney fee statute is going to go through my committee, and that's one of the key committees that it has to go through. So it stopped it in its tracks there in the Senate.
After the House voted on it, approved it, and got it to the floor. But one of my big questions always is, when I look at my own home, I say, is it stormproof? I'm not sure. But I don't know. Is there anyone who could help me?
I do wonder the same thing. Yeah. And so, and kind of getting into that, like of knowing like when it's time to file a claim and when it's not to file a claim. Somebody that has all that background and knowledge, and somebody that's been on our show as well, Andre Kratt. And we've had you on the show as a public adjuster, have a wealth of knowledge on policies, and really to give folks that understanding of saying, this is where you could be covered under your policy insurance. This is what I would do, and this is how I can help. But now you've got a different business. I'd love to hear more about it. Stormproof, tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here again, especially in this position with the new business. So with Stormproof,
I was just asking that very thing.
I got a solution for you, brother.
There you go.
It's a good one too. You guys do a great job, over the past years and the past times I was on this podcast or on this radio show. explaining the overall issues that are going on within the industry, right? At this point, the general public is starting to catch on. It's no longer just the people in the industry, crying wolf. It's the general public knows what's going on. And since you all do a great job at, sharing that and getting that word out there, I also have the experience as a public adjuster of the real life emotional toll that comes upon people, right? You speak about the bigger picture, but for me, it's about actually being in somebody's home. When I have a older couple, and I'm using a real life example here, of course, that is living on Social Security, their premiums have gone up to $1,000 a month on a $300,000 house, and they are stuck in litigation for a year and a half because they're in a he said, she said battle with the insurance company that we all know the insurance company usually wins. So after those years of experience of just seeing the pain and suffering of homeowners every day and the unfortunate aspects of what's going on, I said, okay, well, what can I do? Well, that's where I came up with Stormproof. Stormproof's number one goal is to protect families from the financial devastation that comes from filing a claim. Not just filing a claim, but getting denied by an insurance company. Not having the correct policy language so that when you do file a claim, you think, hey, I'm going to get paid because I've been paying my premiums for years. Surely they're going to come out and pay me. Oh, well, no, you didn't understand what was actually in your policy. So now you're losing $50,000 even after paying for your premiums year in, year out, right? So Stormproof is a platform that allows homeowners to have a done-for-you service to where we're going to hold your hand and we're going to make sure that, one, your property is documented so that we have the proof to actually win your claim so that you don't end up in litigation for years. But also, we're going to figure out where your risks are. Hey, where is your property at risk that your insurance company maybe even shouldn't pay for because you haven't maintained the property, which most people have no idea they're supposed to do. And after that, we're going to go through your policy. We're going to sit down. We're going to figure out where areas of your policy, where your gaps are in coverage that are going to cost you quite literally tens of thousands of dollars if you wait, right? So,
I mean, so you're going over and above than what an agent would do for you, because this sounds like something like, like my agent friend will come on in, let's sit down, let's talk about policies and such. You're taking that a step further. You're going to be at the property, physically going through the home, taking photos, documenting, and being ready ahead of the storm.
Absolutely. So we have pre-storm inspections and post-storm inspections. So we're looking at the condition today and then condition post-storm. You made a great point. Hey, after a hurricane hits, how many people are going to actually come out and inspect your property that you can trust, right? So we have the priorities inspections in place after storms happen, but also we're going through your policy. We're saying, hey, here's your gaps. And we're doing that all as a kind of a concierge service, if you will. And this is done as we're looking at hurricane possibly coming. Obviously it looks like it's turning off, but we want to do these things preventive, not reactive. So.
Right. No, that's great. And is there a charge for this service?
Yeah. So our lowest level of protection is only $29 a month, and then our highest level of protection is $49. If you pay up front for the year, then you get a discount on that as well. But overall, it's pennies relative to what you're saving. We all know here that a simple roof leak can cost you a couple $1,000. And that's what we're here to prevent, is when we see that, hey, there is an opportunity for a roof leak here, hey, let's fix this for a couple $100. So that's the service we're offering. Right.
And do you have a website somewhere I can check it out?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find information at getstormproof.com/webinar. That's what I would love everybody to check out, because we are hosting a webinar next Friday, October 10th. To where we'll go into details about the service and really the risk that we're looking to cover.
That's awesome. Getstormproof.com and then /webinar. And that is that a webinar that they can watch all the time and just kind of like that explains the product?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have a live one on the 10th of October, and then we'll have it available to rewatch as well.
Awesome. Love it. All right. Well, this is our first break. We're going to have some thanks to our sponsors. We'll be right back after that with Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, talking with Andre Kratt here with Stormproof. Check it out at getstormproof.com. We'll be right back after the break. All right. We're back live on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell every Monday night right here, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. And then we're over to streaming about a few days afterwards. So check us out there. If you're just kind of driving through the Orlando area, you want to hear the whole show, then again, check us out on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you like to consume your streaming. And if you like to watch video, you can check us out on YouTube. Like us, subscribe us, check us out there. We're sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida, raflorida.org. Check us out, become a contractor partner here. We'd love to have you part of our association. So today we're talking with Andre. Almost called you Andre. I don't know why I was going that direction. So Andre Kratt with Stormproof. And last time we had him on his show here, he's a public adjuster, a man of many hats. And that's really just putting it forward, just say, I'm helping policyholders. That's what I hear every time I talk to you. And you're always putting that forward. And now giving a homeowners a way to be more organized, to know what they're doing ahead of storm season. Because, like I mentioned before, the law, I think, was the 1970s where they made it to where everyone with a mortgage, they have to have this property insurance protection. But then now you look forward to today and then being able to have limited access to it. And you're spending the more money than anybody ever has in history for a premium. We're talking on an average of $5,000 a year on average for a small home here in the state of Florida. It's absolutely ridiculous. What you get out of it is just misery, and so to help thwart that, now you came up with Stormproof. Get stormproof.com. You have a webinar coming up, /webinar on the 10th of October. But tell us a little bit about your process. And we were talking about it offline. And I'd love to hear about it, and our listeners to hear about what they would expect if they sign up with you and we do one of the programs. What does that look like?
Yes, the goal with this service is to make sure that the homeowners don't really have to worry about anything. So this is a done-for-you service where we're going to walk you through the process, right? The first thing you're going to do is go to getstormproof.com /webinar or /pre, P-R-E. And right now we are offering a pre-launch rate, which is discounted. And what we're going to do is we're going to get out to your property within a few days, and we're going to get your property documented for what's called the pre-storm inspection, right? Mm-hmm. Pre-storm documentation, because if any of your homeowners are out there right now, they ask themselves, what's on my roof? Could you, for $25,000, a $25,000 gamble, could they answer that question? Well, absolutely not. So we're going to get out there, we're going to document the property so we know what it looks like today, so that when damage does occur, we know, hey, it happened at this time, because we have the documentation to win our claim and to prove our claim.
Why would they call you over a roofer?
It's a great question. So over a roofer is because we are looking at it from a claims adjusting perspective. So a roofer,
you're not trying to sell them a roof or repair or something like that on their, oh man, the roof is trash up there. Here's an estimate to get it fixed.
Correct. Right. So let's use an example of a homeowner who just got the roof. It's a brand new 1-year roof, right? Well, Stormproof still applies because we want to document the condition of the roof, and we also want to figure out what maintenance items are there. We want to figure out, hey, your flashing is worn down, and this is the cost that could cost you if it's not handled. You can handle it for a couple of $100, or it's going to cost you a couple $1,000 if you wait, and that's probably going to be a denied claim anyway. So once we have that initial documentation session, we'll go ahead and have a call with the homeowner to where we're going to go through all their risks, if there are any, and then we're going to go through their policy and figure out where those gaps are once again. Give you an example. I had a homeowner call me this week. He filed his own claim and said, hey, I need some help. We took a look at this policy and saw he has a $50,000 deductible and a roof surface payment schedule, which, for those of you out there who don't know what that is where the insurance company will depreciate your roof and not pay you that depreciation back.
It's called fraud. It's called unconstitutional policy endorsement.
HO3.
So as the insurance company approved his $100,000 roof, they had to make a $0 payout because that's what his policy said.
And I love that letter. Usually it comes from Ken, who does a lot of that, Ken Insurance. They're like, congratulations. Like, I swear to God, like the letter says, congratulations, we've approved your roof. And then they do the calculation, they take out the deductibles and the roof surface schedule, and it's like $12. And I just think,
there you go.
Because I had a client come and goes, the first thing came was the letter said congratulate, like it literally was like congratulating me for getting it for
you won the sweepstakes.
For a part, it's like Ed McMahon was going to show up with a big check, and it was just like, and all of a sudden he gets to the bottom, he's like, we didn't get any money.
That's wild.
Exactly.
They still are going around offering these policies that just are not constitutional. You should not have a roof surface schedule in your policy.
An HO3 policy.
Yeah, and an HO3 policy. And surplus lines policy, if it's a it seemed like it was a surplus line type of policy, like a Lloyd's type of policy, or
for my client, it was not normal HO3.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so it was obviously a nice big roof. But I mean, that's what I learned is being a PA over the past 6 years is that nobody knows they have this in their policy. Nobody knows what's in their policy.
Wow.
And the only thing you can do is be proactive and figure it out before a storm hits, because by the time you wait, you are down $100,000.
Yeah,
and that's no
gamble.
Exaggeration.
That's a big gamble.
Big gamble. So once we document the property, we sit down with them. We have that call where we're reviewing all these items, going over the policy. Then we, of course, give them the chance to make the changes, and not just say go make the changes, but if they need the help to figure out trusted people that are going to guide them through actually making the correct changes, not just sell them a policy that is cheap because that's what they want, then we have those people for them. We have the vetted partners that will give them what they need, whether it's the repairs, whether it's the new policies, policy reviews. We have those people so that they can get what they need done as soon as possible.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good. And what area are you covering right now?
Yeah, so right now we are covering just about anywhere within 3 hours of Central Florida. So we're knocking all of that out. I would say by next year we'll be all throughout Florida.
Nice,
Yep.
nice. That's excellent. And so that's your official kickoff is later on after October 10th?
Yeah, so we're going to have a platform to where homeowners will have access to all of this. So it's not just about getting the documentation. Homeowners will get the documentation, the day they have their initial documentation session, but then they're going to have access to a platform too. So our platform is going to have the ability for them to access their prior inspections whenever they can, access all of their insurance documents that we help them get uploaded to the platform, and then of course reach out to any of our partners through the platform as well. And
they kind of keep the communication in one spot, keep documents in one place. That way, if a claim ever does come, they can just go export. There's everything.
Exactly. And in the future, we'll have kind of a file a claim button to where, they know this is where they go when they need to file a claim. And right now we're in the pre-launch. So we're just doing a $49 deposit, and they get all the key key services of the platform, which is the documentation session, our policy review. They'll have access to what we call our storm season prep kit, which gives education to homeowners of what they need to do to actually, go through the policy, document the inside of the property, right? Because although we focus only on the exterior now, we want homeowners to go on the inside because it's not just storm related, right? It's not just for storms. This is for all losses regarding your property. My buddy's house burned down 2 years ago, and trying to go through and write down every single thing in your house is pretty impossible, right? So documenting your property, which we guide you through on the platform for the interior of the property, is extremely important. And that's what ends up saving people tens of thousands of dollars right there alone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're not taking photos of the inside of your house, you're going back to your social media going, oh man, I think I remember taking a pic. Is that a painting behind me? Yeah. Okay. I had a painting right there. And it's like, like Hans' story about I forgot the silverware. You don't have silverware? There's no silverware on your list. Like,
I had an elderly client, and she was trying to do her own interior inventory for a fire loss at her house. And I looked at it, and she's like, I think that's everything. And I said, ma'am, you don't even have silverware on the list. And she was like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. I'm like, let me find you someone to help you with the inventory. I think it was 10% of whatever the contents deal was. But she had like 12 things in her kitchen. I'm like, ma'am, I am confident that you have more stuff than this. And I assume you actually use silverware to eat with. And she's like, oh, yeah.
Right.
But yeah,
and the other example that you've given too, I mean, where literally an act of God on a separated building where you are storing contents that are worth more than your extra B building coverage will allow. You want to maybe up that if you're parking, like say an RV or like something expensive in there, because if a plane falls out of the sky onto your separate building and you're only covered for a certain amount, you need to relook at that. And that might be something that comes up. And Hans' client had that same situation.
It did come up. The guy had a building, they kept tools in an RV, and a plane hit it. And it was one of those policies, for folks who don't know, coverage B, like let's say coverage B is other structures. It's a percentage of coverage A, depending on what type of policy you have. And he had coverage B, it was like 10%. He had like a 10% coverage B. So he had like a $500,000 coverage A for dwelling, but had like 50 grand, whatever the numbers were. He had like some small number for B coverage. Plane hits the building. They're like, and Allstate's like, here's a check, policy limits. And it was like 10 grand toward the thing. The guy's like, but the thing's like gone. She's like, well, we're giving you policy limits. And people a lot of times don't know, they don't look at that. What policy for other structures or personal property under coverage C or loss of use under coverage D.
Or the collection thing, right? You start getting a bunch of Care Bears or something. I don't know what to think about.
Yeah.
But you make it a collection, and now that could not that could be excluded from your policy.
Yeah, I mean, most policies have a limit of just generally speaking, an HO3 policy would often have a $2,500 limit on collections, formal or informal. As I tell people, if you buy enough of something, it's a collection. Whether you put it all in one cabinet in your living room or not, you have all the Dale Earnhardt plates. At some point, that's a collection, whether you planned on it or not. And so collections, guns, silver, bullion, all that stuff has low limits unless you get a rider to cover that property.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I got a lot of guns, so maybe I need to up my insurance. But that's something that you guys go through, right? I mean, some of the questions that you ask them, right? I mean, any of these large purchases, anything that are high ticket items that might be located in the additional building or inside your home, that kind of thing. And I imagine that at some point, because you are a public adjuster, but not an agent, that though you would maybe then point that out to the homeowner. Are you starting to partner with insurance folks, or how's that going to look like if somebody has a hole missing in their insurance?
Yeah, so we definitely want to partner with the agents out there, right? We're going to look at things from a property and casualty damage side of things, and then we're going to say, here's the risk from the claim side. We see, X, Y, Z all the time. It's in your policy. You need to get that changed, right? Getting that changed is going to be the job of an agent, right? And the agents we partner with, they get our movement, right? The movement is this is the one thing homeowners can do that can protect them against the insurance
properly
rules.
Insured. Yeah, that's step one. I mean, we had that hurricane that went through Perry, Florida, and it just knocked over a bunch of cow posts and buildings and things, and not many people were insured there as well. And so you had that issue as well as being underinsured. So we're not understanding the policy of insurance. I think that's where you can be a big help at, to make sure that if they have something stored in their additional building, that they have the proper insurance for it, or there might be holes missing here. So we'll be right back with Andrew with Stormproof. Get stormproof.com. We'll be right back. Restoration Association of Florida. All right, we're back live. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell every Monday right here, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial, The Answer, and then over to anywhere you like to podcast. And, of course, YouTube. Check us out. Subscribe us there. I'm not even going to mention the Dapper Suit of the Week there just because of a whole snafu in the beginning of the show.
Yes.
So
sorry about that.
That's okay. Listen, man, I was off my game as well. I didn't know what day it was. Where are we going? What are we doing? There's no storm. Is there a storm? No storm. 2 storms, but no storm. It's all in the Atlantic right now. So I think since the Gulf changed its name, it just doesn't do anything anymore. It's like
it's interesting.
It's just chilling right now.
It's scared of the force and power of America is overwhelmed.
Right. It wants to keep its streak of not causing any type of chaos or any types of damage here, causing from the Gulf of America. So, anyways, or stemming from, anyways. But all that activity is over in the Atlantic, and now has come up from the Bahamas. And talking about Imelda, which was 9, invests 94 or something like that, and changed into something like 9 or whatever, and then Imelda. And we were even on a watch for a minute, storm watch in certain areas, and then they removed it Sunday night as it then started to go direct east into the Atlantic.
So close. I'll show the camera.
Ooh, zoom in.
It was right there.
So close yet.
Oh.
Yet so far away. And so what do we do now that we've dodged the bullet, right? And that's making sure that you're prepared. We talk a lot about storm preparedness here before the storm. Talk about documentation a lot. We've had roofers on here. We've had public adjusters, and other types of folks that talk about the same thing that Andre is talking about here too, is proper documentation. And he even has a program that'll work with you to ensure that you are organized, making sure that now that since we dodged the bullet, if you were thinking, oh man, I didn't have my stuff together, I got my roof done a couple of years ago, or maybe I needed to get inspected before, and now I'm really wondering what is covered under my policy of insurance. I'm trying to get a cheaper insurance. You mentioned Ken Insurance there,
Yes.
Hans, and cheap doesn't mean good, and so we've seen that with Citizens Insurance, we've seen that with Snake Farm, we've seen that with others that offer a cheaper product, but you're not able to access it. They just will give you an excuse after an excuse to not actually pay your claim. And they try to find pitfalls on that and make you do everything as the homeowner. Well, I need you to do. I heard this the other day that somebody said, you know what? A homeowner told me that the adjuster had them walk through their house on FaceTime and never went to their property, adjusted their from their phone, adjusted their whole claim from their phone, and it was the homeowner's phone too that took him around there. And so you're not thinking there's things missed there. I mean, they wrote an estimate based off of just, hey, zoom me around the room here, and that's just not the right way to ensure that you're going to be put back to pre-loss condition. And so Andre here with Stormproof, get stormproof.com/webinar or /pre will allow you to get I guess on the forefront of your new program. So tell us about that, Andre.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in the pre-launch phase. We're getting the core service out there for homeowners because we are at the peak of hurricane season. We might have dodged this one, but we know that we still got time. The past couple hurricane seasons, we know that the hurricanes have come October, November, I think the past 2 to 3 years now. So as our platform is not 100% up and it's not going to have the full services or full value that we will have towards the end of the year, we wanted to make sure that we still gave the opportunity for homeowners to get the key services, which are get the property documented so that as we hit this peak season, they have the protection there. Go through their policies, make sure that they're squared away, and then also get them access to our storm season prep kit that allows them to take their own action and education throughout the process.
That's awesome. And that's great. I mean, you really want to have this, I call it the protection. You want to have a protection going into the next storm season. We may have dodged a bullet now, but you're right. I mean, we still have another 30 days of storm activity, and really the end of storm season. They call it after Thanksgiving. So we still have a good amount of time for a potential to pop up in any given moment. The Gulf of America may be on a winning streak right now, but it may roll a ball right at us. Who knows?
I mean, keep in mind, Hurricane Nicole in 2022 was in November. I believe it was around November 15th or so. I'm a little off on that.
Right.
But yeah, that was kind of at the very end. Out of nowhere came Hurricane Nicole.
Right. And we and our predictions, we're all over the place this year, and none of them came close. We were looking at the beginning or the end of September, and we're past that now, and we're now saying what is going to happen. And you're right. We have some exposure still, and it's now time to be ready. And Hans, you're still helping folks out.
Yeah.
And I know that just a few months ago, we've talked about a big trial victory. You helped a client out against their insurer with against Universal.
Yeah, Universal. We had a 5-day jury trial in Seminole County against Universal, which we prevailed on. We're still seeking some additional damages, and we have a pending bad faith case. I imagine Universal will appeal all this, and but before that all happens. But we did prevail in our trial, so we're still out there. I mean, even though things have changed. From a statutory fee perspective, from our perspective, we can still help people. Now, can I help them as much as I can? Sometimes it's just like the old days. There's enough money offered by the insurer that it all works out fine. Sometimes they have to take a little less than full recovery. But my view will continue to be, if someone said, I'll buy half your roof instead of none of your roof, that's probably still a pretty good deal. We get to 60%, 70%, 80%, 100%. Those are all decision moments where you can stop and go, yeah, I can make that work. And many times in mediation, I'll look at the client, I'll go, an hour ago we were at 0, right? Like, just remember that they had a denial an hour ago, and now they're going to pay half the roof. Another hour, maybe we get them up to 60, 70, 80%. So
right.
I got a question for you, Hans.
Yeah, sure.
So when you're in mediation, how would a service like Stormproof help you win those mediations?
No, I mean, that would be great. I mean, because usually what happens is the photos I get, first, the client never takes any photos. Somehow they like the hailstorm. I gave a talk the other day, and I said, how many people here have taken a photo of food in the last 30 days, like their dinner or something.
Oh yeah, right here.
Okay, how about next time you decide to take photos of your house? Like, something that actually is meaningful to you. They're all like, ooh, I never thought of taking photos of my house. So something like Stormproof could provide me everything we need. And I'm a big believer that people have an obligation to fix their house, to repair their home, keep it in good condition. They shouldn't just let it go into shambles, then want the insurer to do all the renovations. So if I have photos, because what I get beat up all the time with is, well, Hans, here's a claim from 2 years ago, and here's the photos we took. Well, I have nothing to fight that with. Mm-hmm. I have to face value. They go, well, look, what do you got? What do you got that shows these damages weren't there? And if the service you're providing does it on a kind of ongoing annual basis or something that provides us a database of ongoing photos, I can go, well, no, wait. Here's photos from 23. Here's photos from 24. Here's our data loss. If I can demonstrate the thing, because also what I hear is, well, we paid on that claim. We already paid for that damage. And, and I'm working with 25 or 30 photos from a roofer, and I have a photo that's literally a close-up of a shingle. I'm like, I don't even know what part of the roof that is, much less anything else. So no, a service like yours would be a huge asset to the client to be able to say, this is exactly what it looked like on this day, what it looked like on this day. Same thing for the interior side. So no, we would certainly welcome anything that provides us with accurate, well-documented photographic evidence that we can present.
Right, and it also sets expectations up front. I think it's good for two reasons. Either you have somebody that is trying to shoot for the moon and you can be more realistic, or you have the pessimistic one. It's like, I'm not going to get anything out of this. And you're like, no, what are you talking about? I can get you 500,000, get you in a wreck, get you a big check, whatever. And many times that I've heard that commercial, I kind of circle back to what folks have then, like, there's been chilling effect going on. They did so good in the property side of marketing, saying all these claim volume, all these lawsuits, it's driven up all these claims prices and all this other stuff. This is the reason why your insurance is so high. So people don't want to sue. Right. But then you look over on the, and that's for property damage, but then you look over in a car accident, it's normal. Yeah. Right, because it's just like, you call Dan Newland, right? It's like, that's it. You're in a wreck, you get a check. That's all I see all the time, right? And it's just like, or other types of companies like that, saying Verified or all this other stuff, right? I mean, what are they doing, right? They're saying that, hey, it's normal if you're in a car accident to call me.
To use and it's normal to use your insurance.
Right.
Or the third party. I mean, when people say, well, it's different because I'm using the at-fault party. Well, look, when the property insurer insures you, the at-fault party is the storm event. I mean, they factor that in. It's not a mystery. I mean, they can look at all the meteorological stuff like everyone else. They factor in what it's going to cost them, and the third party is the storm. Just like in an automobile accident, the third party is the guy who hits you. Well, it's just the storm that hits you instead of someone else. Right. So why treat your property insurance in such a different way? You would have no qualms if you got in a car accident and got hurt, to go, that guy's at fault.
Right.
Like, nobody would be like, whoa, I don't want to make a claim, man. I don't want the guy who hit me to his premiums to go up or my premiums to go up. You don't say that at all.
No, not at all. And so that story has changed so much to where it's just scared folks into making that claim, I'm not going to get new insurance. I won't be able to get renewed, or if I have an open claim and all that stuff. Well, in the beginning of 2023, they did the oops bill, the Britney Spears, like, oops, I went too far kind of thing. I was going to go, oops, did it again, but I didn't want to. Anyways, but whatever. But they did again. And so, but to this point, they said, okay, let's fix this, right? And so in March 24th of 2023, the governor signed the bill that allowed for insureds to not have to worry about that. If they have an open claim, they can't get non-renewed. They can absolutely find new insurance. They can't be bound by that by insurance companies, because that's what they were doing before. They were like, you have an open claim here. It's like, I'm in litigation. Well, your roof is still in shambles, so we're not gonna give you any policy. You're like, but I'm going to as soon as I get the money. Like, as soon as I have the money, I'm going to put a new roof on, I swear. Right? But they said they kept you in that limbo to where you just get mad at everybody, even the people that are trying to help you, and it just spins out of control when really they're the problem by slow walking, not paying. And so now we're at this stage to where we can't do much about it, right? And to the point to where it's like, if if I'm in an auto accident and the damages supersede my deductible, it's an easy type of saying, I'm going to file the claim. It's more, this is why I have insurance. And so why we're now in this backwards thinking of saying, well, I'm not going to do this. The insurance companies are saying it's a maintenance issue. I have to fix my roof. And it's like, no, if you have a 30-year-old roof and 28 years later you have a major storm and it rips off your roof, well, it's not because it's been there for 20 years. It's because because of that storm. And so, I make that reference a lot of times, the old guy dies in the middle of the lake because he couldn't swim back to the shore. And it's like, oh, well, that's easy. It was old age. It's wear and tear. It's like, no, he died from drowning. That was the cause of death, right? And so we look at this and we see a storm that comes through and we automatically think, now I think it's automatically going to be a fight, right? But that is the cause of loss. That's the date of loss. And people are now scared to file a claim against their insurance company, and for good reason, right? The juice may not be worth the squeeze because now we have to pay our own way, pay our own attorney's fees, our own experts.
But let guys like Andre and I figure that out for you instead of trying to do it yourself.
That's right. And if they do want to get a hold of you, Hans, how do they get a hold of you?
Cell phone, 407-782-0258. That's 407-782-0258. My office is 888-878-HANS, H-A-N-S.
All right, love it. And Andre, thank you for being here. Stormproof, getstormproof.com. And how else can we get a hold of you?
Yeah, my direct cell phone number, 407-592-3956. I'll be hosting the webinar October 10th, getstormproof.com/webinar.
What time?
Love it.
10:15 a.m. And
Love
we'll
it.
have that recorded as well.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you guys next week. See you.
Thank you.